And we'll start on the mat in a cross-leg position and begin to get ourselves centered and ready for our class. Maybe just settle in a little bit, get your sitting bones squared to the mat. The next little bit of breathing is going to be mostly for me to get more present here. Usually I feel ready to go. Today I don't so much. So extending our spine nice and tall. Our chest is open. Our face is neutral. And we'll work a little bit on breath. So take your right hand and place it centered on your belly, and your left hand centered on your chest. And just feel that breath coming and going. See if you can settle yourself in a little more with each breath. Really focus on your belly, filling your belly, expanding it, taking that breath clear down to the bottom of your lungs. I was reminded last week in a workshop that I was taking that we only use the top third of our lungs for most of our daily comings and goings. And we're missing out on 2/3 of the oxygen that we could be getting into our bodies. So really want to work on getting that breath low. Feel the rise and the fall of the belly. And even with your hands touching your body, you'll notice yourself feeling more centered, more grounded. See if you can relax all of the muscles in your body. And let's take one more breath with our hands on our chest and belly. And then return them to our knees. And we'll do a little bit of shoulder work, neck work, just briefly today to kind of loosen up before we go to standing. So let's look over our left shoulder, and over our right. I woke up a couple of days ago with the worst kink behind my shoulder. It was after we did headstand work in class, and I wondered if that had something to do with it. So I'm just working on trying to get it loosened up a little bit. So just gaze left, gaze right. And then we can look up, look down. Look up, look down. Up. And then we'll pause our chin to chest and really press it in tight as we can get it. And you may notice that when you pull your shoulders down and away from your chin, that you can get a better stretch in there. And release it. Place your fingers together, press it forward, and stretch out that space between the shoulder blades, really pushing the palms to the wall in front of you. Taking a deep breath. Notice how filling the chest cavity helps with the stretch. And then fingers together behind, pressing your arms straight. opening up the chest. Try and lengthen the spine a little bit here. Relax into the chest. Release, and let's take our right elbow up, reaching over with our left hand, pressing the right elbow down a little bit farther onto the back. Maybe just holding it here for a moment. And reaching from underneath with the left, working to get those fingertips closer together. Opening and relaxing into the shoulder joints. Release. Left elbow comes up, reaching over with the right hand and gently pressing that shoulder a little farther open, the elbow a little farther down. Taking the right hand from underneath, reaching up, working to get those fingertips together. Deep breaths here, keeping that spine tall. And release, fingertips to shoulders, elbows come clockwise or counterclockwise. We'll do several rotations both ways. When your elbows are in front, see if you can touch them. Try and squeeze those shoulder blades when you bring them behind you. Touch them in the front. Warming up our shoulders. Keeping nice mobility into them. Okay, let's reverse it in the opposite direction. Again, remember your breath, inhaling as you come up, exhaling as you come down. Inhaling to expand, exhaling to contract. Okay, return with your hands to your knees, extending the spine nice and tall. Let's take a few spinal breaths here, inhaling from the base of the spine all the way up and out the crown of the head, and then down the crown of the head, through the torso, out the spine. Inhaling up, really waking up all of our chakras here. Inhaling as we breathe up, exhaling, breathing down. One more deep breath here. And then come to table pose. Warming up the spine as we lift, tucking the chin to the chest. Inhaling to open the chest, lift the face. Exhaling, contracting. Inhaling, opening. Getting some movement here. We'll do one more. And keeping our hands firmly rooted to the mat, we're lifting our knees up into a down dog. And that's a little bit shorter for a down dog. Stretching the back of your legs. Walking forward to meet your hands. And we'll be in a forward fold here. Again, working on that breath as we're starting to stretch the body. You might want to tuck your chin closer to your chest. Come to a half lift. Really pressing into the shins. And also, it just depends on your flexibility, but your half lift may be with your legs or your hands to your thighs, so you're not as far into the fold. It just depends on your flexibility and where you're at. Really working on lifting our Sitting bones up to the ceiling here. And we'll come to a squat. And lift up to chair. You can separate your feet about hip distance apart, and let's stay in chair pose for a moment. We'll really start bringing some heat into the body here. See if you can completely calm the body with the breath. No tension. Okay, one more breath and we'll inhale to stand. Come into a forward fold. Lifting the sitting bones, a half lift. Forward fold. And then squat, returning to chair. This time, we'll add a little bounce in our chair movement here and focus on keeping our chest open, our arms reaching out as far as we can, lifting them straight up, seeing if we can create a straight line from our fingertips through our shoulder into our hips. Bouncing, and inhale to stand, and a forward fold. And a half lift, and a forward fold, a squat, and back to chair. And real aggressive bouncing down and up, down and up. Trying to keep those knees behind the heels. Might feel your heart rate starting to come up here. One more, and we'll inhale to stand. And a forward fold. And a half lift. And a forward fold. And let's drop our right leg back. And we'll add a little stretch into the legs here. Rocking it back and forth. Pressing our right heel into the mat, getting a nice stretch back in the calf. Move forward and back. And from this pose, we'll lift up into a warrior one. So lift up, coming up to a warrior one. Okay, let's work on our warrior one pose here, wanting to keep the left knee behind the left toes, our arms straight, reaching forward and up, really working on pressing that back heel down. Tummy is tucked in, so our navel is close to the spine. Working on a steady breath. And we'll step forward and shake out. Okay, warrior one with the left leg back. Inhale to step back. Our legs are on railroad tracks, our feet are on railroad tracks. So they're both facing the wall in front of us. Our right knee stays behind the right toes. Our torso is nice and tall. You can work on getting a little more space between your front and back leg. Keep that navel tucked in, pelvic floor lifted up, muscles in the face soft, holding your body as steady as you can hold it. One more breath and step forward. Okay, shake down. We'll start adding some variations to our Warrior One series. Inhaling, standing straight, tummy tucked in, chest open, spine lengthened. Step back with our right leg and come into Warrior One with our left leg in front. Arms come forward and reach up. Hold building strength here. See if you can get your body completely steady, still, no movement at all. And we'll tuck our elbows and our knees together and then rotate forward to warrior three. So inhale, and on the exhale, we'll squeeze together. And then arms come forward, leg comes back, working at getting our torso, our arms and legs parallel to the floor. Trying to get steadiness and balance here. And release. Shake it out. Same thing left side. Standing tall, straight. Inhale with the leg back, arms up. Finding warrior one with our left leg back. Tucking the tummy, the navel close to the spine. Pelvic floor lifted. Torso is tall. Inhale, and on the exhale, we'll squeeze together. And then push the arms and the legs out, lowering our torso parallel to the floor. Breathing steady. And release it. Okay, let's shake it out. Coming back to the top of our mat, we'll work on stepping our right leg back, coming into warrior one again, and we'll add a variation from there. Inhale, stepping back. Both of our feet are facing forward. We're back in our warrior one. Strong arms. And let's straighten this leg in front of us. And take our arms behind. And you can grab your fingertips together and lower your chest parallel to the floor. It's working on strength, balance, and the breath. Trying to keep both of those legs straight. Lowering the chest a little bit farther. And let's release it back to warrior one. And step forward, shake it out. Same thing left side. Left leg steps back. Finding a nice strong warrior one here. Tuck the navel in. Now let's straighten the leg in front. And our arms come behind us. Flat torso hinging from the hip. We're coming forward. If you'd like to, you could straighten the arms out behind you. Working on complete steadiness. Trying to get that torso lower to the ground. Really strengthening here. And release it. Return to warrior one. And step forward to shake it up. Okay, let's start back to warrior one again. Our right leg comes back and we'll do revolved triangle. So our right leg steps back. We find our warrior one. Straighten our legs. And we open our chest to the long side of the mat. Bringing our left arm to the floor and our right arm straight up to the ceiling. So both legs are straight, chest is open to the long side of the mat. And if you have a block, you can put a block down to the mat. You can put your fist to the mat, your palm to the mat, depending on your flexibility. And if you need to, you can also rest an elbow to the knee. Okay, let's return forward and come back up to warrior one. And we'll step forward. Shake it out. Same thing, left side. Standing tall and straight, left leg comes back, finding warrior one. Tuck the navel in, nice tall spine, straight arms. And let's straighten that right leg in front of us. Rotate the chest open to the long side of the mat. And bring our right arm down to the inside of the right leg. And lift our left arm straight up. You'll notice your back leg turns, or your back foot turns out just a little bit. Trying to find a steady breath. One more breath here. Release it, return to warrior one. Find steadiness. And return to the front of the mat. Shake it out. Okay, this time we're going to come down a little bit farther into that revolved triangle. So it'll look something like straight arm, straight leg, and then our arm comes to the outside. Okay, I'll walk you through that. All right, top of the mat, tall spine. Step our right leg back. Find our warrior one. And keeping the leg in front of us bent, we're going to rotate. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. We're rotating to the long side of the mat with a bent arm. And we can rest that arm on our knee, or you can bring it to the outside of the left leg and open the chest that way. So again, it can look like this, arm reaching up, or you can bring that arm to the outside of the left leg, keeping that left leg bent, opening the chest to the long side of the mat. Now let's reach that arm up forward, trying to create a straight line from our fingertips to our heel. And release it. Return to warrior one. And step forward. Okay, same thing left side, standing nice and tall, stepping this left leg back. Finding our warrior one. And we'll lean forward, turning our torso to the long side of the mat, bringing our right arm to the outside of our right leg. Left arm comes up. Holding it here for a few breaths. And now let's create a straight line from our left fingertips to our left heel. Really reaching forward, reaching back, aiming for steadiness here. One more breath. And return to warrior one. And step forward. Shake it out. Okay, we've got a couple more variations with our warrior one that we'll work on here. Top of the mat, tall spine. Take a good deep breath here and step back into warrior one, stepping back with our right leg. So we'll reach it forward here. And let's see what I've got here. Okay, we'll come into a standing leg lift from our warrior one. So we want to straighten the leg, come forward, hands to the mat. You can feel a nice stretch here. Now we'll lift our right leg up and put our weight on our hands and our foot, coming into a leg lift here.
Really trying to push that right leg up. You can bend the leg a little, get that knee a little higher. Straight left leg. Steady breathing. And drop the leg back to the back of the mat. And come back up to warrior one. And step forward. We'll do that on the left side. Okay, the left leg goes back, so nice tall spine, chest open, nice deep breathing. Stepping back with the left leg, finding warrior one. And we'll straighten the right leg, hinge forward, bringing our hands to the mat. And lift the left leg up this time. You can keep that leg straight, or you can bend it and try and lift the knee a little higher. We're balanced on our right foot and both palms. Trying to keep our elbows tucked close to our body. You'll notice a lot more work in the arms. The tighter you keep them tucked to your body. Push it up a little bit higher. A little higher. And return to warrior one. Do it. And step forward. Okay, we have one more variation on warrior one I'd like to do. And it ends up looking like this, and our arm and our leg come straight. And I'm trying to explain how it looks. Anyway, it's a half side lift, but we'll try and get there. Okay, standing up. Our right leg comes back into warrior one. Finding strength here. And we're going to hinge forward, putting our left hand to the floor. Actually, we can put both right and left to the floor. Sorry, I'm working through this with you. Straighten that left leg. Straighten the left arm. And open up to the long side of the mat. And lift the right arm and the right leg. And I'm not sure why this seems like such a challenge today. And release it, both hands back to the mat. Coming back to warrior one. Stepping forward. Shake it out, and we have one left on the left side. Same thing. So coming back to warrior one on the left side, left leg steps back. Finding warrior one. And we'll bring both hands in front of our feet to the floor. Finding balance here. And opening up to the long side of the mat. Lifting our left arm and our left leg. A lot of balance work here, a lot of strength. Keeping that navel tucked in. Okay, both hands back to the mat, stepping back to warrior one. And coming forward, stepping to the front of the mat. Okay, that was a lot of new stuff today. Grab a drink, and we'll work a little bit on some warrior two variations. To kind of balance it out a little. Okay. So warrior two, our left leg will face the front of the mat, back foot at a 45-degree angle, and we'll bend this front leg, keeping the knee behind the toes, trying to lower ourselves into it as far as we can go. Our chest opens up to the long side of the mat. Be mindful of your low spine. So if your low spine is
causing problems, don't rotate completely, just rotate partially. Otherwise, open up your chest to the mat and arms come straight out parallel to the floor. And let's hold the strength here, tucking our navel in and just feel the strength, gazing over our left fingertips. And rotating forward, resting our elbow on our knee, our left elbow on left knee, and reaching forward. And we can drop our left hand to the inside of our left knee, straighten our left knee, open up to the long side of the mat. Again, finding balance, steadiness. Bring that elbow back up to the knee. And arms come forward. And then we'll reverse the warrior, sliding this back arm, our right arm down the leg, and reaching our left arm to the ceiling, gazing up over our left fingertips. Finding steadiness here. And rotate back to our warrior 2. And then rotate to the back of the mat. Same thing. So this time, our left foot is at a 45-degree angle. Our right foot faces the wall directly behind us. I'm going to come into this a little bit farther, keeping the knee behind the toes, opening the chest to the long side of the mat. Arms come straight out parallel to the floor. And we'll gaze over our right fingertips this time. Find complete steadiness here. Be sure that you're breathing into the bottom of the lungs. Okay, we'll rotate forward, resting our right forearm on the knee and bringing this right arm over. And straightening the right leg. Reach the right arm down to the floor and open up completely to the long side of the mat and gaze up over your left fingertips. Okay, bring the forearm back to the knee. Find your balance here and then return to warrior 2. Then we'll slide this back arm down the back leg, reaching the right arm up, pressing it up to the ceiling. Return to warrior 2. Couple of breaths here. And shake it out. Okay, I think what we'll work on now is some of our core work. So we'll come back to the mat in a seated position. And I'd like to hold us in our sitting position for 3 minutes. And while we're doing this, I really want to work on your pelvic floor. So that will be a main focus as we're holding our staff position for 3 minutes. And I'll talk you through that and hope that it goes by really quickly for us. Okay, nice tall spine. Rooting the sitting bones to the mat. Both of our legs are straight, the back of the knees pressed into the mat. Both heels are flexed. Spine is tall. Chest is open. Slight tension between the shoulder blades. Face is neutral. Now let's really focus on what's happening in our core and our pelvic floor. Take your navel and press it in to the spine as far as you can get it. And see if you can work on strengthening, clear up to the rib cage, all the way down to your pelvic floor. See if you can tighten those muscles, squeeze them, contract them in as close to the spine as you can get them. And now let's work on our pelvic floor. Imagine it's an elevator and we're going to take it up to the 10th floor. So we're starting in the lobby. Lift it with the next breath to the 2nd floor, higher to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th floor, and hold it tight at the 10th floor. And we'll slowly release it from the 10th floor down. 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, back to the lobby. And now drop it to the garage level, completely relaxing the pelvic floor. Okay, let's check back into our body form. Straight legs, heels flexed, sitting bones rooted to the mat, spine is tall, chest is open, and we'll lift our pelvic floor again, tucking that navel into the spine, tight as you can get it, lifting to the 1st floor, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th floor. Hold it tight here, as high as you can get it, and then slowly drop. 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st floor, and now drop it to the garage. Okay, let's release out of the pose. You can shake your legs a little bit. Bring the soles of your feet together. The tall spine. Let's press our elbows into our legs, pressing the legs down, opening up into the hips. Flat spine, hinging from the hip, bringing your torso flat and forward. Now reach your toes. Bring your elbows closer to the floor and tuck your chin closer to your chest and find complete softness in this pose. See if you can release all of the muscles, let them soften, relax. Okay, flat spine, hands from the hip, bring it back up. We'll straighten out the legs to a forward fold sitting position. Again, we always want to keep that navel or the core engaged, so keep that navel tucked to the spine. Inhaling as we reach up. Exhaling, hinging from the hip, flat spine, reaching forward as you lie your chest flat to your legs, reaching forward. Once you find your stability, support, then you can allow yourself to soften into the fold a little bit farther. Always make sure that you're supported. Do not leave your back hinging or hanging unsupported. And we'll hold this pose for 3 minutes as well. And while we're doing this, we didn't work on an intention for your class today or an intention for your day. So that might be something that you want to consider.
as you have some time here with nice and quiet relaxation. Always on the exhale, see if you can soften a little bit farther into the fold. And even in a folded position, work on filling the entire chest cavity with the breath. Bringing that breath clear to the bottom of your lungs. Legs are straight. Using the breath to soften into the fold. Okay, we'll take 3 more nice, slow breaths here. And on the 4th inhale, bring yourself up out of the fold, supporting your spine as you come up out. And then we'll slide down onto our elbows, reversing the forward fold, trying to squeeze these elbows a little bit closer together and lifting the chest up, opening the front of the throat. And returning to a seated position. We'll bring our heels closer to our body, take our peace fingers, our 2 fingers, wrap them around our big toe, and you can wrap from the inside of the big toe, or you can wrap from the outside of the big toe, whatever is comfortable for you, and then you can work on alternating that if you'd like to. So I'm going to come from the inside of the big toe, and we'll come up into V position. So we need to work on rooting those sitting bones, and then with a flat spine leaning back, so we're creating a tripod between our tailbone and our sitting bones with a tall, straight spine. And let's lift our heels up and just find our balance here. Trying to balance on that tripod between the sitting bones and the tailbone. And on the next inhale, let's work to open the legs, straighten them out, maintaining that balance, engaging the core, squeezing that navel into the spine, really tucking it tight. See if you can come back a little bit farther. And our chest is open, our spine is tall. Breathing is steady. And let's release and bring the legs back. Shake it out. You can rotate the wrists, get some movement back. And I'm going to work on coming from the outside of my toes this time. Bringing the heels close to my body. Lengthening the spine.
finding that tripod between my tailbone and my sitting bones. Inhaling to lift the legs, finding balance again here. And when you're ready, on an inhale, open the legs, straighten them out. And if you're ready and would like to add a little bit to this, you can work on straightening the legs and bringing them together and apart, together, apart. And releasing, coming back to the mat. Straighten out your legs, shake out your wrists. And we'll come into a boat pose, working on our core. And I'll show some modifications for the boat pose. Straight spine, rooting those sitting bones into the hip, leaning back to the tailbone. A modification for boat pose is just simply this. So your hands can be on your legs, they can be to the mat. A little farther, extending the pose. You can bring your arms forward, or you can bring your arms out to the side, keeping that core engaged. Bringing the arms back and drop them down to the lap and release it. This time, you find your edge, and I'm going to work on lifting my legs while I'm in the boat pose. We haven't worked a lot on this, so don't be discouraged if this is a difficult one for you. Rooting those sitting bones, rotating back, finding that tailbone, lifting the arms up, and leaning back a little bit farther, bringing the legs up into a full boat pose. And you can hold this at whatever level you're working on, keeping that navel tucked. And release. Shake out the legs a little bit more. And we'll rotate down onto our spine. We'll work on a few poses lying on the mat. Bring your knees into your chest. With each exhale, push the knees a little closer to the chest, really relaxing and releasing. And when you're ready, inhale, straighten the legs to come up to waterfall pose. And this may be the extent of the inversion that you would like to work on today. I'll cue farther extensions of this. You find your edge where you're comfortable, and you can always return back to waterfall if you need to, if you feel like that's what your body wants to do. Otherwise, I'm going to lift my hips and create a saddle with my hands and rest my hips in the saddle. So I'll lift my hips up, creating that saddle, and it allows me to bring my elbows in a little bit closer. And then I can just rest with my hips in my palms, working at keeping the legs straight to the ceiling, but not tight, not pointed, not stiff. Just finding a relaxed, straight pose for your feet. And then allow the blood flow to come back into the heart and into the brain. Finding a steady breath, relaxed faces in the relaxed muscles in the face. And if you'd like to carry it a little bit farther,
Keeping the chin aligned to the center of the chest, begin to bring your legs over your head. Now, if you'd like to, you can bend your knees and bring them down to the sides of your head, or you can keep them straight and bring them down over your head. And if you'd like to, reach up, grab your feet. And if your knees are bent to the sides, you can also reach up and grab your toes and pull your legs down a little bit farther, or keep them straight with the arms straight over the head. And I'm going to pause here for a moment so you can find the form of this pose that's working for you. Again, you can always return to basic waterfall position. You can rest with your hands in your hips, rested in a bowl that you make with your hands. You can bring bent knees to the sides of your head, or you can bring straight legs and straight arms over your head. And if you'd like to move this one, carry this one a little bit farther, you can bring your feet down a little farther if you're able, and then bring your arms back behind your back and find a plow position here. And again, your plow might have bent knees, and you might have your arms still up, or you can just rest them down depending on your flexibility, where your body is. Pay attention to your body and don't push it farther than your body's ready. This is a newer pose for most of us. And then we'll roll down out of the pose very slowly, working on engaging the core. So if your legs are bent, put your arms up over your head, or if you're in waterfall pose, put your hands straight over your heads with your legs up in waterfall, and we'll slowly, one vertebrae at a time, rotate down out of this pose. Very, very slowly. And in some classes, we can take 10 minutes to get out of this, but we'll aim for about 3 minutes to get out of this pose. Always working on keeping that chest aligned with the chin, core engaged, trying to keep your legs as straight as you can. And you'll notice there are some areas where it's easier to lower. It almost feels like you're resting, but keep pushing through those areas. Take your time on the difficult areas. Keep that navel tucked into the spine. Try and keep the neck and shoulders relaxed. And if you've already made it down, you're welcome to bring your legs back up to basic waterfall pose right here, and then you can lower them one more time. I'm going to work on flexing my heels here, keeping my legs really straight, my knees pulled into my thighs. Trying to keep my face soft, my arms soft, my shoulders relaxed, focusing on my entire core. Make the last few inches count.
And when you come down to the mat, you can rest in Shavasana, allowing the muscles in your body to completely soften, relax, fully supported by the mat. See if you can return to your regular breath, completely filling the lungs. And we'll do another knee press here. And if you'd like to bring your chest to your chin to your knees. And then we'll completely reverse that work by doing a few bridge poses. First, we'll open up the front of the thighs. So grab your ankles with your hands. And on the exhale, press your right knee down. Gaze over the right shoulder, really stretching into the front of the right thigh. And left knee drops, gazing over the left. You want to make sure that the right leg doesn't come out willy-nilly, that it stays pointing straight to the ceiling when it's not being pressed to the mat. Okay, reverse it. Right leg down, left knee straight up towards the ceiling, gazing over the right shoulder. Left knee drops. Right knee. Should notice it coming a lot closer to the mat. Left knee. Last one, right side. Last one, left side. Okay, bring your fingertips to your heels. And I think we have enough time to do two bridge poses. So we'll work on getting our hike in, and then I'll cue your hands and your feet. Inhale, lift your hips up as high as you can get them. And see if you can squeeze your shoulder blades a little bit closer together so you can rotate your shoulders in a little bit here. Pushing up with the hips. Now take the palms of your hands and press them into the mat as firmly as you can. And then take the soles of your feet and really push the soles of your feet into the mat and lift another inch higher into the pose. Finding a slow, steady breath, softness in the face. Try and go another inch higher, really push it up, and then release very, very slowly. Okay, this time when we go up, we're going to rest our hips in our hands, kind of like we did on the inversion. We'll just hold our hips up with our hands and let our hips open up and soften into the pose. Okay, fingertips to heels. Inhale, lift the hips. And now work to get your palms right under your hips. And rotate back and forth a little bit to try and get your elbows closer together. And then with your hands, just try and gently push your hips up a little bit higher and allow your hips to soften. And create a nice stretch here in your hips this way. Allowing it to completely relax. Okay, one last breath. And we'll release it slowly to the mat. One last knee press into the chest to reverse that tension. And then we'll find Shavasana for a moment, but we'll do our final relaxation in a cross-legged seated position. So let's take 3 or 4 good breaths here in Shavasana. Relaxing the muscles in the face, the jaw, the brow, the arms, legs. Melted completely into the mat. No tension in the body at all. And on your next breath, rotate to the side in fetal position. And you can hold it there for a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, return to a seated cross-leg position. And we'll do yoga mudra on the right side and the left side. Feels like I need to stretch a little bit into my neck. So find your comfortable seated position and we'll hold each side for 3 minutes. So I won't do any talking at all. It's a real good time to have your eyes closed and to consider each part of your body from your head to your toes and completely relax them, soften them. Pay attention to what your body's feeling. If you're feeling fatigue in a particular area, or maybe some tightness or stiffness or some soreness, pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you. We'll reach to behind our back, right arm, right wrist, let's see, let me get my words correct. Right hand wraps around the left wrist, tall spine, flexing from the hips, flat chest, folding ourselves into yoga mudra, working at trying to get our forehead to the mat. Depending on your flexibility, you may pause halfway down and then work on relaxing each muscle as tension develops. Always using the exhale to find softness and release a little farther into the pose. Okay, releasing out of the pose, inhaling flat spine. Hinging from the hip. We'll pause here for a moment to allow that blood flow back into our brains. And then we'll bring our opposite leg in front. So just rotate the positions of your legs. And if you need to, you can flex your legs a little bit. Your knees feel sore. And this time when you go down, if you have a personal phrase or a mantra that works well for you, go ahead and repeat that. For example, for me, it might be something like, I am strong, I am patient, I am calm, I am satisfied, are all mantras that would be very meaningful to me to repeat as I'm in this last 3 minutes of Yoga Mudra. So again, reaching behind us, right hand wraps around left wrist, flat spine. Exhale as we fold into Yoga Mudra. Finding complete relaxation here for the next 3 minutes. Inhale, release out of the pose. Return your hands to your knees. And let's do a few spinal breaths, inhaling from the base of the spine, out the top of the crown of the head. Exhaling from the crown of the head down to the base of the spine. Really bringing relaxation into the body. And returning our hands to heart center. I offer gratitude for joining me today. And my wish for you is complete calm and peace for your day. Namaste. Hopefully that was a good class. It was a little bit rough for me, but I think I learned a lot. Finally got myself centered. So thanks for joining me. Hope to see you on Thursday.